What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Stella Herself podcast. It has been so long since I said that. I really appreciate all of you that have messaged me or commented that you missed the podcast and that I need to bring the podcast back over these past few months. It really meant the world to me, means the world to me, and without that, we probably would not be here today, you know what I mean? So just thank you so much for tuning back in. The day that I'm recording this actually feels monumental, and I was meant to record yesterday, but then the maintenance guy had to come fix my dishwasher, and the way that he was vacuuming the water up at full volume for like 2 hours. So it was meant to be that I would record today, which is the first day of spring, the spring equinox, the first day of Aries season, and the first day of the Mercury retrograde shadow period. So retrograde is not officially started, but is the first day of the shadow. I was just live on YouTube, and I've been going live on YouTube. So make sure that you are subscribed and have my notifs on. But I was just on there talking about manifesting your dreams and goals for spring and for this new energy. And I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about that on here. So basically, I think it's so important to have mindfulness. And I'm actually reading this book right now called Mindfulness. It's called How Meditation is Changing Business from the Inside Out. And it is what it says it's about. It's about meditation and mindfulness within business and companies, which is super interesting. There's a lot of really insightful points that are made. How just having the ability and practicing the ability, through meditation, practicing mindfulness in your day-to-day makes such an impact on everything else in your life. So as the title of this episode suggests, taking control of your emotions. So this is like a lot of topics at once, but they're all going to flow together and make sense. So we also on that live stream on YouTube talked about the law of attraction, and somebody asked, I think, if I still believe in the law of attraction or if I actually do it, I think they said. And my answer is yes, but I think it's more about the ways that your subconscious beliefs can really affect your reality. And that is like an actual fact. That's not like vibes, woo-woo, but I'm kind of like into that as well to a certain extent. I think some people take it a little too far or don't take other things into consideration when talking about manifestation or the law of attraction. Some people can be very either ignorant to why they actually achieve something, privilege, all that. And then I think some people, another way that I've seen it kind of go awry is when people act like practicing the law of attraction or wanting to change your life in a positive way means there must be no negative emotion and we can't think about anything negative or talk about anything negative, because that's also unhealthy, So I think the answer to that is mindfulness. It's going to be so much more effective if you know that you are stressed out or in a bad mood, to have the mindfulness and awareness to recognize that and then take action on that rather than trying to power through how you're feeling, or maybe you're not feeling up for it. So an example that I gave in this live stream, and I feel like I've talked about this before, but this really stood out to me, like the fact that I remember it after all these years. So this was like a long time ago, but this girl I was friends with, me and her were going to hang out, and then she invited one of her best friends. And I was just like, yeah, why not? Group hang. We were going to go do an activity outside. It was very nice out. It was a nice spring summer day. And this girl that she invited literally had the worst vibes ever. I don't even remember specifically what she was talking about, but she just the whole time complained about everything that was going on when it was literally a nice, non-stressful day. And then she just kept talking about how horrible her life was and how stressed out she was and how she had no money. I just remember the money being a big thing. She just kept talking about how she had no money. And that on its own, fine. We can find solutions. We can problem solve that. That's not a permanent situation that you need to be in. But it was very exhausting to be around. And then reflecting on it now, it's why? Because I'm okay, was I being too judgmental of her? But then it's no, it's you shouldn't trauma dump to someone that you just met. That was my first time meeting her. And then as far as the law of attraction goes, it's like, okay, it's okay to not be where you want to be financially, just maybe in your career, maybe just with yourself. Like maybe you have a lot to work on in yourself, or, controlling your emotions or whatever it may be. Maybe you want to start working out. That was another thing too. Like we went shopping and she just kept complaining about how she looked. Like it was like everything was an issue. So this is why you need to be very aware and practice mindfulness of like yourself and how you're coming across. So I think a lot of things are like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And this is why the law of attraction can be very powerful, because basically if you believe something, it's true. If you generally believe that you're going to have a good time, or that you know how to handle a situation, or that people are generally going to be, not like you, but just, if you generally have a positive outlook on like people and just your day-to-day interactions, you're going to come across like that. So you're usually going to have better experiences with people. Versus if you think everyone is out to get you, or everyone doesn't like you, or that everyone thinks you're ugly, or that life is generally hard, you're going to experience that because you're expecting it, and you're going to pick up on all those situations in your day when things are hard. And you're like, see, I was right. And like we want our life and our experiences externally to validate how we feel on the inside. So if you're constantly looking to be told that like you're not enough, or that you're ugly, like you're going to seek that out subconsciously. Oh my god, sounds like crazy. So looking back, it's like, okay, maybe this girl was like, and it's like, I would not recommend doing this as an exercise, because you cannot get into somebody else's head and it's like a waste of time. But let's just use it as an example for ourselves for this instance as an example. So instead, like, okay, this is what I was talking about on my live stream. She maybe if she was just feeling very burnt out and stressed out, she could have practiced mindfulness, checked in with herself when her friend asked her to come on this group hang sesh, and been like, okay, do I feel like being social today? Do I feel like meeting a new person today? No, so let me say no. So it's like, was she not practicing? Maybe she wasn't practicing mindfulness. Maybe she was, but she was scared to say no, so she went along anyway, even though it wasn't a good time. And then it's like, I wasn't being like rude or mean to her, but it's like I wasn't like, oh my god, we have to hang out again, I don't know if she picked up on that or not. Like I genuinely don't know, but we didn't hang out again. So, but it's like maybe in her head, or someone else like in a similar situation would be like, oh my god, like her friend didn't even like me. Oh my god, like it's true, like I'm worthless. Like having all these negative beliefs because she's kind of coming in with this bad energy. And it's like, just naturally, most people naturally aren't really going to want to be around that. Like, even if they're not rude to your face, like they're not going to be excited to hang out again. So then she's like, see, I am worthless. I am not worth it. It is hard for me to make friends. I am awkward, like all these negative beliefs. And it's like, okay, a lot of things in life like are out of our control. But in an instance like this, it's like, babe, you had control. Like you just have to, again, be aware and practice the mindfulness about it. So as far as the law of attraction goes, it's very important that you practice mindfulness. And like some things are very deep rooted. So, I mean, if you want to go to therapy, if you can, like a therapist can help you sort out like some very deep rooted beliefs that may come from childhood. But I think even just being mindful in your day-to-day, like realizing when it is that you feel insecure, or when it is that you start to feel angry or annoyed, or when you feel really good, when you feel like you're being your best self, like, okay, what is it that is making me feel like that? And like, what is influencing me to feel like that, and doing more of that? So it's basically having self-knowledge and self-mastery, and therefore you can control your reactions to things and your emotions. Because emotions are very useful tools, but they are not our reality. Like they can really help you in a lot of ways to know when something's not okay, to know when we're being violated, to know when something is good for us, to know, whether or not we regret something, whether or not we should do that again. Emotions are very useful information, but we do not need to we still have control of ourselves and our lives. And like, you are able, just the fact that we are able, humans are able to separate themselves from emotion and be like, okay, like, let me look at this logically. Or, you know, I feel really angry, like I want to throw something, but let me like take a step back and ask myself, do I actually want, like, would that be the best thing to do in this situation? So like, circling back to the example, if the girl knew that saying no was hard for her and that she has a habit, maybe, like, I'm making this up, I don't know her, but let's just say, and if she had a habit of saying yes, even though she didn't really want to do something, and then like regretting it later, or holding resentment towards like her friend or whoever, if she knew that, she could be like, okay, like, this is one of those instances where I kind of want to say no, but like I feel bad, or I feel like I'm going to be a bad friend, or like they won't ask me to hang out again if I do say no. So let me just, like, I want to say yes. But with this in mind, like, okay, like, I trust that my friend is still going to be my friend, even if I say no. And if they're not, then they're a weirdo anyway. I wouldn't want them as a friend. And it's going to be okay. And like, the best case scenario for everyone is if I just stay home today because I'm not feeling my best. And like, I don't want to spread bad vibes to people, especially someone I don't know. And especially to my best friend, you know? So therefore I'm going to say no, even though I feel uncomfortable. And that would be like practicing mindfulness and making the best decision. And it's like, okay, your friend might be disappointed, but ultimately that's better than going along and then you have bad vibes and then your friend's like embarrassed to be with you. Again, I don't know if that was the case. I think often in dating, this is another time where taking control of your emotions and being able to think logically is so much more valuable than just acting on impulse. I think especially with men, bro, actions over words every time. And I mean, that applies to everyone, but I think especially like with men, it's very helpful to know how to read the room and look at a man's actions. So let's say you're like talking to someone and they haven't texted you back all day, but then they post on their story. Like, your emotional reaction is maybe to like block them, to send them a paragraph, to blow up their phone. That's like what your emotion of anger or like just disrespect is telling you to do. But if you can separate yourself from that, take a breath, like, you're not wrong for feeling that, but instead of acting on that by taking it out on that person who is obviously showing you that they are not interested in you, just take your energy elsewhere. Take that anger and go work out. Go punch a pillow. Go talk with your friend about it. Because if you act on emotion, you type out this whole thing to this man. It's so embarrassing. Guys, stop sending paragraphs to men. Like, stop. It's okay if you did it like literally today, but like, moving forward, never do that again. Never. Actions. The camera's gonna die. Side note, I need to upgrade everything because this was fully charged. This also happened to my AirPods and my watch today. Fully charged as soon as I start or I leave the house, and then not even, it's like, babe, I filmed a light grocery haul segment, so sorry, but it's retrograde. What do you expect? Instead of typing a whole paragraph to a man who's not calling you or responding to your text, you need to just take your energy elsewhere, because especially to a man, it's like any attention is good attention. And if you are saying a bunch of stuff that doesn't really mean anything, just like when they say stuff to you, it doesn't really mean anything. And I have to go on Twitter less and less because there is just so many cringy things. Like, when people post screenshots of their man or like a man they're talking to saying like insane things, or like just saying what a girl would want to hear, and you're like, oh my god, like, he really likes me. It's like, no, he doesn't. It feels good to hear those things, but then they will not stand on that. Like, the action is not there. So you have to look at their actions, do not listen to their words, look at their actions and where their energy and attention is going. And then same for yourself. Do not type a paragraph to a man. If he pisses you off, pretend like he died. And I mean, that doesn't mean never speak up about something that bothers you, but it's just like, there's a way to do it that's effective. And I honestly think, especially for men, the most effective way is just like to take your energy elsewhere. And then that's when they're going to like come back. Because you know, You know the old fable of like every man comes back? It's true, because once you've moved on, then they can be in their chase mode again, and they love that. I also was recently talking about this on a YouTube live, but the Attached book, great read, because some of this is like conflicting, you know? It's like, okay, well, I don't want to act like you have to be secure to really attract a secure partner. But it's like most men are not doing that internal work. And if you are dating men and you want a man, you kind of, I don't want to say you have to play by their rules, but it's like, I learned in my interpersonal communications class that not healthy, but like good communication where you're actually communicating and not just talking at someone is saying things or relaying what it is you need to relay in a way that the other person's going to understand. So if I could be saying the most like eloquently, well thought out, well spoken statement to a man, but if he has not also done that same amount of like self work, or just, you know, if he's just not really like hip to the lingo, it's really gonna mean nothing. And unfortunately, most men are not, you know, they're not reading self-help books or like reading books about patriarchy or like going to therapy or like doing these things. So, but it's like, if you still want to date a man, it's like you have to communicate with them in a way that they're going to understand, which means taking your attention away most of the time, you know? So take control of your emotions. Like, bro, you just have to have a lot of self-respect, because when you have self-respect, when you are calm, when you can put yourself in a calm state of mind, and that doesn't mean you're perfectly zen all the time. Like, bro, we're people, we live in the modern world, like, and just we're people, period. Like, we're gonna have emotions and times where we don't feel completely calm and centered, and that's fine. But it's like knowing how to navigate that, and there's like a healthy way to do it, and then there's like a there's many unhealthy ways on how to deal with that, you know? When you feel grounded in yourself, you will make the best decisions for yourself. You care so much less, if at all, what other people are going to think about you and those decisions, your decisions. And therefore, your good choices that support you you're going to reap the benefits and the rewards in the rest of your life. Any decision you make that is truly in your best interest, you know, that's not hurting someone else in like an evil way, you know, like sometimes you might disappoint someone. That does not mean you're a bad person, and that it has to happen. Like, you're gonna disappoint people, otherwise you're gonna people please and you're gonna like resent them. So either way, it's like I would rather take the path, as hard as it may be sometimes, of health and myself, you know, because if you disappoint someone, at least you're supporting yourself and they'll get over it. And if they don't, why would you want someone in your life that you can't say no to? Sounds annoying at the minimum. Everything else in your life will fall into place. And you just have to know and believe truly in your soul that you deserve it. And that's why it's so important to be aware of your subconscious beliefs and how those manifest in your external reality. And just really, like, once you just put your focus on yourself and really want to, like, learn about yourself, I think especially after your brain has fully developed, it's just like, oh my God, like, you just realize, capital R, how much more there is to you and how much there is to learn about yourself and, like, your life. And, like, you, at least for me, I've really realized how much control I have over my life, you know? And it's just very important to be aware, again, mindful of where in your life you feel uncomfortable and when it is hard for you to make a decision or to tell somebody no or whatever, because that's like where the work is. And it's like, and I was talking about this on my live stream, being able and willing to get out of your comfort zone just literally puts you at such a further advantage than everybody else. And it's not about everybody else, but it just puts you in such a good position, because most people, they want to do things. They want to start working out. They want to lose weight or gain weight. They want to start this business. They want to try this new thing. They want to start this new hobby or travel or whatever. But the fear of the unknown. Oh my God, what if I fail? Like all these self-limiting beliefs come to the surface, and then it's just so much, it feels so much safer to just not, like, you know, it's like, oh my God, I hate taking a risk, like, oh my God. But getting out of your comfort zone is where you thrive. I heard somebody, well, I actually read about it in this book, and then this girl I follow posted on her story, this mom I follow, about how once you make a decision, things just come much more into focus versus when you are kind of living in like the unknown or just like the what if, like what if you're at that stage of making a decision or a life change or whatever, you're gonna feel way more anxious, way more problems, like way just more like off, versus once you make a decision, it may not even be the perfect right decision, but then it's like, okay, you can start to problem solve and be like, okay, like let's do this about this, let's like, oh my God, I can do this, and then like an opportunity arises, you're like, oh my God, I never would have like seen this before or had this opportunity if I hadn't like made this decision. And it's just like, you have to trust yourself, trust the universe, trust life, trust the process. Like literally, if you know what triggers you, if you know when it's hard for you to do something, then you're doing so well. The camera did in fact die. I'm gonna answer some of your guys' questions. Somebody said, how's LA? I don't know. Haven't been in over a year, but I am going soon, and I'm so excited to be able to answer that question for you, because I'm just so excited to see how my perspective will have changed and, you know, all of that. Somebody says, talk about your relationship. So I am single. This is another classic example of like knowing yourself, and sometimes you have to make a decision. So yeah, hashtag single, loving it. Tips for self-love and positivity. Practical tips you can do. Y'all, I've been getting flowers for the house every week, and that has, like, it's like, you know, or at least I knew flowers made me feel good, but then to actually like go out and do that each week, it's so fun. Because like, it's first of all the activity of going to go do that, like you can get a coffee, it's like a fun errand, you can look at what flowers, especially recently because it's like spring, you can see what they have in stock, how their selection changes from week to week, you can make your own bouquet, see what they have. Also just finding, you know, the best place around you to get flowers. And then it's just been so fun to like switch it up every week and just have them in the home. And yeah, so that's like a great way to practice self-love. Also just treating yourself. I mean, we all know that, but it's true. And then getting out of your comfort zone for asking what you want, you know, because some people like, they're just like, oh, it's fine, like I'm okay with this, but it's like, no, like you can ask for the better option, or you're allowed to experience a better option or whatever. Also, just make sure that you're being healthy, bro, like getting enough sleep, working out, even if that just means going for a walk, getting, you know, enough vitamin D. I hope y'all were taking your supplements all winter. I'm like, did that honestly make a difference? Like, I don't know. Drinking enough water, eating right, all these things. And also just making sure that the relationships in your life are uplifting you and making you feel good, not draining you, not making you anxious and stressed out and not feeling your best self. And that goes for any type of relationship, you know? Putting yourself as the priority. Y'all, I have been loving Shira 7. Like, honestly, I've watched her for a long time on and off. Like, I was subscribed to her a long time ago, but I never fully, like, watched her videos. But now, especially when I go onto my TikTok, all of my For You page is like her. But she has such good advice. I just love what she talks about as far as self-love, putting yourself as the priority, and putting the attention on your life, in your life, on you. Because so often it's like we want to figure out, especially in dating and friendships and whatever, it's like we want to figure out what the other person's thinking. Like, oh my God, what did they, like, oh my God, let me adjust what I'm going to do to make them happy or make them like me or whatever. And it's like, just as women in our society, we're usually conditioned to think that way. So I just really love how she promotes, you know, bringing it back to yourself, putting your energy back on you. And I think that's like a really healthy, important thing to do. So that is going to be our first episode back. I know it was a little on the shorter side, but I wanted to ease my way back in. And let me know what you guys want me to talk about in upcoming episodes. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me, y'all. Appreciate you so much. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, follow me on TikTok, IG, all of that, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye, everyone.